Good afternoon, crafters. We are live. My name is Hannah Roxbury and I am the brand ambassador for Carnation Crafts. And this afternoon is a Facebook Live tutorial, demonstration, whatever you would like to call it, which has actually been rescheduled. So huge apologies. We couldn't do the Thanksgiving Facebook Live special last week. Apologies, I was feeling under the weather, but we have rescheduled it for today, so hopefully all those that wanted to join us have found us and is going to hopefully craft along with us. It'd be nice to see what you guys are making along too. Lots of people joining us already, so thank you very much. I can see Karen, and we've got another Karen, one after another, which is funny. I'm not sure, you know, whether all of my comments and things come up on this program, so do forgive me if I do miss anything, but I will do my level best to go through, answer any questions as we go. Oh yeah, more people popping on now. Carol's here, Joyce is here, and Julie and Amanda as well. So I will obviously try and answer it as much as we go. Essentially, these Facebook Lives are a sort of extended demonstration, if you like. When Carla and myself are on the telly, it's often difficult to bring you every single step, to do all of the things that we'd love to share with you in a studio environment. It's obviously time constraints and things like that. So the reason we bring you these tutorials is it gives you a little bit more of an insight on how we build cards and compositions and how we put things together and what we use, and generally just have a little chat and a catch up as well, which is nice. Viv's here. She says, afternoon, Hannah. Lovely to see you today. Hope you and the family are all well. We are. Thank you very much, Viv. Linda says, just printed off the eagle and about to cut them. Brilliant. Oh, that's fantastic. So this Facebook Live, as we've mentioned, was rescheduled from last week. And what we launched last week, I think it was last Tuesday, was for the deal of the day were special edition vignettes for the 3D dove. What we did for you is create a golden eagle and also a Stars and Stripes golden eagle, a version with the Stars and Stripes across the rings. And I have to say, they are absolutely stunning. If you haven't downloaded them yet, do hop on over to the Wild website and take a look, because they are still there. They're not at the deal of the day price, but they are there during the special edition vignettes available for you to download and use. And we're going to be using them in a really nice sort of easily kind of pop-up card. And we're going white on white, which is not something you'll see me do a lot, but you'll see Carla do a lot. But I think this design really lends itself to a nice white on white display. Kathy says, good morning from Eagle Lake, Florida. There we go, Kathy. Perfect vignettes for you then that we're working with today. Ellie, sorry, my words are all over the place. Oh, lots and lots of love for everyone. Thank you. That's really kind. Yeah, I was just a little bit under the weather. So yeah, back to it now. Kathy says, yeah, the eagles are amazing. I know quite a few of our American friends have already been using them. So if you have been, do post your makes up in the Carnation Crafters group, because it would be amazing to see them. And I think without further ado, let's get the camera in place, because I did omit to do that earlier. There we go. Let's pull that down a little bit. I didn't want to bring it in straight away because it's right in front of my face. Let's turn that camera around. You can see what we are going to be working with. Let's just straighten that a little bit, hopefully. A little bit, maybe? Yeah, possibly. Let's just move that into shot. That might be an easy way of doing it. So for anyone that isn't aware, the 3D Dove launched. I'm going to go with August, I think it was August, as part of the Above the Clouds collection. And it's one of those dies that has just captured people's imagination. It's this beautiful stand out design that the whole die creates a card base in one pass cut. Okay, so you'd cut out this bit here, the clouds, the way it works, it comes together to form a stand at the bottom of the dove design, and you can create your card bases from there. You can also snip into it and use just the bird as well, which is what we're going to be doing in this demonstration. If you're looking for how-to videos on how to create the design with just the stand, we do have those as a separate YouTube tutorial, and we do have YouTube tutorials on how we cut the larger size mirrored vignettes along with the normal vignettes as well, because as you see, this is a lovely expansive vignette. This is a really nice large size die. To cut your mirrored version, obviously you would print out as so, And it is just the same as the normal vignettes. Trim this edge down, align the black lines. You also got guidelines as crosshatch across the line there, and stick together. That then becomes your center fold, where you would fold like so and cut. Now obviously with this one, because it's symmetrical, you can just spray glue on the inside, stick the two sides together, line your die up over the top and run it through on a normal plate combination. That will give you your mirrored vignette. Okay, so your mirrored vignette is your artwork whereby you've got the same pattern on the top as what you have on the reverse, which is really great for things like this where you're using it in a 3D concept. Because the whole idea is on this stand, the wings come up, the tail comes up and everything like that. And it does mean you're going to see the underside of the wings. So on a normal standard vignette, normally this side would be white, which can detract from the overall design. But by using the mirrored vignettes, it gives you this lovely quality of design across the surface. Now, of course, I have printed my vignette there on our 120 GSM Pro printing paper, and that means when we fold it in half like we're doing so with the mirrored vignettes, it doubles the weight to 240, making it nice and sturdy to use on our kickstand like so. Now there are two versions. I did allude to this at the start of the tutorial. We have this one, which is obviously our little stars and stripes eagle, and we have the more traditional colourway for the eagle as well. So they are both available on our vignettes as a special edition vignettes. After the Facebook Live, I will pop the links up so you can find these without trouble. And of course, you know, don't forget, we've also got the little versions as well, which are great for decorating your smaller cards as well. And just the depth of design, the depth of colour is just so beautiful. As mentioned, you do get both mirrored and standard within each one of these, so you can use them as you wish. Okay, I'm just going to have a little scroll back through the comments, make sure I'm not missing anything. Humberta says, good morning, Hannah. This eagle is amazing. Good morning, Humberta. Thank you for always joining us. You're such a great supporter. Adele says, Hannah, sorry I'm a wee bit late. So looking forward to this live. I brought the set when it was originally released. It's stunning. Loving these colours. Adele, don't ever worry. If anyone does find they are a bit late to one of the Facebook Lives, don't ever worry, because we do upload them to both, obviously, our Facebook page and our YouTube channel afterwards, so you can watch them back at your leisure, which is rather handy. And if you are worried about ever missing one, we do release them in the events page, so you can always sign up to the event. It will give you obviously the times and the dates of the Facebook Live, but it does mean you get a little reminder of when we do go live. So we are going to be working with the Stars and Stripes version. If you have the Phoenix version or the Dove version or the Blue Tit version, there's nothing stopping you using that design to make this same card we're going to make. Okay, so it's just an idea of a tutorial using this vignette, but of course you can mix and match with the design as well. I'm also going to be using, I'll show you on the die set actually, the square to frame. Now this is one of my go-to dies when it comes to Carnation. Carnation do such a beautiful array of frame designs. There's something really nice about having a card base, which essentially this will make, which isn't a straight line edge. When you cut your mats and layers like so, you get this wonderful scalloped edge, but it's a detailed scallop edge, which just gives a little bit more interest in having something just plain and straight. It adds a sort of a wow factor to your cards. Now this, the team have been amazing, because obviously I missed the deal of the day, which were the eagles last week when we were due to do this. They did have a little chat with me and say, right, what else are you using? I said, well, I am using the square 2 frame. And they said, right, great, we'll put that on deal of the day. So today this die set is 20% off as your deal of the day as well. Grab it. It is going to be one of your go-tos. You're going to use this in so many things. Do you know what? I've seen so many beautiful Christmas cards in our group. Carnation Crafters made with this. You do get obviously a whole host of dies within this. We've mentioned them, the card base there, your mats and layers for adding detailing, then this lovely expansive filigree layer here as well that adds a beautiful texture. You've then got your circles, so these can create apertures, these can create extra mats and layers. You've then got your central filigree, which has your circle design. So again, you could make a mini card, a smaller card, just using the elements on the inside here. You've then got further dies. Again, your squares could be apertures for the center, or they could be gift tags. So if you wanted something whereby you've made your card using the outside frames, and then you want to create a matching gift tag for your gift bag or for your envelope or present or whatever it may be, you can then mix and match the square frames here and have the same filigree so everything matches. Now, the clever way this has been designed with all of this detail filigree work, there are sections, these little squares here, all the way through, that are worked in as part of the design. Yes, they are there for embellishment, but also they will fit a 5mm foam pad if you want to add a little height to your designs as well, which is lovely, really, really great. So that, as I've mentioned, is deal of the day today. And I will be using that as my card base. As I alluded to, I will be using that on white on white. Reason being is I wanted something, a base for this card, which is going to give a really nice drama to let the designs sing for themselves. So we are going with the first die cut here, which is the largest size matte and layer from the Square 2 frame die set. And then we're going to build our matte layer. So we're going to build it from the base upwards. These are all cut using a combination of my 350 Perfect Smooth cardstock, which is your ideal base, cardstock weight and cardstock finish for your card bases. So our Perfect Smooth in the 350. Onto that, the mats and layers. You can use either 350 or you can conserve that and go with your 240. So slightly lighter weight, but still nice and strong, which is going to give you a really, really nice finish between the layers. Now look how beautifully these layers all just slot into one another to give you a little bit of an edge between them. Because I'm using that thicker cardstock, you get sort of a built-in drop shadow. But see how it almost creates a texture on the background where you're adding these layers on white. It's not obvious, but it creates a nice texture, okay? Onto this, we're going to add in our hinge mechanism to create our pop-up effect. No, we're not going to do that, Hannah. Don't do that yet. We want to add in the filigree. I do get carried away with these designs. I do really, really love making your Facebook Lives for you, and I do hope you enjoy them. They're just a little bit of fun, and as I say, a great way to interact as well. So for these layers, I am sticking these down, so the filigree layer and all the mats and layers you've seen before, using what we call our finger lift tape. Reason being, for these layers, I'd like sort of flat. I don't want anything sort of popping up these layers because these are going to be on the inside of the card. So I want it relatively flat. So finger lift tape fits the bill for that. And I'm just sticking one in place and then going in and smoothing down the rest to build that card base. Now we can go in with our pop-up mechanism, and you can see a little sneaky peek of the other designs I'm going to be including. So we're going to, rather than use this as a square, which we could absolutely do so, and then create the hinge that way to open like so, or even as a twist fold if you wanted to, a twist design easel as well. I am going to create this as a diamond shape, because obviously being a square, you've got options on how you want to craft with this. And interesting, I saw one, Fifi, I think it was, post her easel design using this same sort of combination as well. So it's obviously great minds think alike, because when you come to add your dove, obviously in this case being your eagle, like so, it then holds, it holds that shape. It kind of really lends itself to that diamond effect. So this area is going to be our pop-up mechanism for our easel. We have scored a little tab along the top to create our hinge between the base and the front of the card. And then we've scored along the middle, okay? So we have red liner tape on that little hinge section at the back. And what we're going to do is just line the base, hold it in place, so we can then peel away that little piece of red liner tape like so, and then smooth that down. The reason we use red liner tape is it's a nice strong adhesive, so it makes things where you're using construction weight really nice and stable. You'll see, again, repeated, we've got that red liner tape along the hinge at the front. But each moment, each time I'm adding layers, I'm just checking that hinge mechanism, that it's working, that it's stable, that everything is going to work together. We only have red line tape or our adhesive along the bottom half of this hinge, okay? That is because when we come to add the pop-up layer, we're going to make sure that the back is free, only the front is stuck, because when we pop it up, that is then going to rise up and the rest of it is going to go back, okay? So it doesn't sort of get caught on the hinge or anything like that. Again, just aligning that, making sure it is in the right place, like so. And just align that all the way around so it's nice and neat. Obviously, when you're making this at home, you can sit over it and really get this nice and straight. Oh, I have to sit back a little bit so I don't get my head in the way of the camera. And using a paper tool, sometimes red liner tape carrier sheet is a little bit tricky to remove. We can then just peel this away. So I'm only going to remove just a couple of sections, keeping my left hand in place, and then just using my other hand to remove the carrier sheet of the red liner tape. Smoothing that down means we're then hands free to turn this card, go in and remove the rest of the carrier sheet like so. It just means you don't get sort of things stuck in the wrong place or sort of your hands all, you know, muddled up or anything like that. It just makes a really nice smooth transaction between the card layers. Okay, so again, we popped our layer down. We're just going to make sure that pop-up effect is lifting like so. Okay, it's a really nice diamond effect. It's a really nice, pretty way of using this design like so. Adele says, such a clever concept, love the diamond shape, a wee bit different. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's always worth actually taking a look at your die sets that you may already have in your stash and just turning them, which I know sounds like a really strange thing to say, but it's often doing that is a way of finding new ways of putting together compositions, putting together card bases. When it comes to Carnation crafts with our frames and things like that, they are intended for use in lots and lots of different ways. So it is just worth taking a look at what you have in your stash and seeing how they can be adapted and changed up as well. So here I've taken those squares and that square filigree just from the centre of the die set. Again, it's all white on white, all the way down to the smallest die within the pack. And these are mounted on foam tape. So this is going to work as our stopper, because when it comes to an easel card design, you want an element that's going to hold your card front open. Now I'm just going to position that. I'm just going to check for where it's going to sit beautifully, like so. So centrally to the filigree panel, and then we can go in and remove the carrier sheet on the foam. I'm not going to worry about the middle bit of the foam. Essentially that's just going to work as a little structure device to keep the middle up, but just making sure that's nice and straight and central. And then you have your stopper like so. So it's a really nice freestanding, quite a nice effective design for your card like so. Fiona says, sorry I'm late. Fiona, never apologise for being late. As we've said, we always do upload these afterwards. So we can always, or you can always view them back at any time. So for our next layers, again, it's white on white. As we've mentioned, the idea is to build this base of texture into which to introduce our colour later on through our vignettes. So here, again, finger lift tape all the way around. I'm taking the carrier sheet and folding it back across the edge of the mats and layers to create a little tab design. Then we can just go in, as we've done on the previous layers, line that up so it's nice and central, hold it in place, and then remove the carrier sheet for the tape all the way around and smooth down into place. I will repeat that so you can see that again on the next map and layer. So again, using that nice heavyweight, perfect smooth cardstock. I did see a question in Carnation Crafters group the other day, which was, you know, what is the difference between your perfect smooth and your pro printing paper? And it's actually a really good question. The pro printing paper is designed, as the name would suggest, to work in your printers. Okay, it has been developed so that the ink from your printer will sit on the surface of the paper and it doesn't sort of absorb into the paper, which results in a far higher degree of clarity and detail within your designs, because you think the dye of the ink isn't kind of going in and then dispersing and looking fuzzy. And then the ink means it's also a nice colour, a nice bright colour on top as well. It also conserves your ink as well, because if you think it's not saturating the paper and going into the paper, it's sitting on the surface, so you're not using as much. But it does give a brilliant clarity of design and colour for your vignette artwork. We have 3 different weights. As we've mentioned, the 120 GSM is ideal for your mirrored vignettes. Your next size up, 170, is great for things like your backing papers, or if you want to use it for your scan and cut vignettes. And then your, I think it's 220 is next, nice heavyweight paper if you're using just standard cut vignettes, or you want heavier weights for your backing papers as well. So there is the Pro printing paper. Your Perfect Smooth that I'm using for this demonstration is a nice cardstock, which is ideal for things like colouring. So this nice heavyweight that I'm using here, the 350 and 240, is ideal for colouring with alcohol markers. It's smooth, so it's not a textured surface, so your pens and things, the nibs of the pens, aren't going to drag on the surface. It's also a really lovely finish for your card bases, 350 being ideal for your nice heavyweight cards and construction weight cards for your bases, 240 for your mats and layers, and then 120 for your inserts. It's also great for stamping, because if you think you haven't got a textured surface, it's perfectly smooth, so there's nothing there which is going to impede your stamping designs. There's no sort of dips or turrets or anything like that. When you stamp, you get a nice crisp finish on your design. It's also a really nice feel, which I know sounds like a strange thing to say, but it is perfectly smooth, so it gives a really luxurious feel to your card bases and card designs. So that's the difference between the designs, like so. Okay, so again, just adding in, you'll notice from the mats and layers, I used the finger lift tapes, nice flat adhesion between the layers. For the filigree layer here, I swapped it up and used a 1mm foam tape. That just gives a little bit of lift and gives a little bit more definition, because it creates a drop shadow between the layers. So you get more of a prominence on the filigree layers itself. Almost done with my layers. I'm going to go in with a circle now. So rather than cut this as an aperture, I have decided to cut this as a mat and layer. Again, from our nice Perfect Smooth cardstock. And then just again align that. So again, using that foam tape just to give a little bit of definition between the layers, because obviously we're working white on white. It is nice to go in with your foam tape and create definition. Just sticking the 2 sides. The foam tape across the centre will act just to lift that central piece. And our last layer here is the circular filigree from the square frame 2 as well. Just adding those on. And now you've got a choice. I mean, you can go in with it as a square. You can just accentuate the diamond like so. You could have it at cross purposes. It's really up to you. I think, what do I prefer? Do I like it as a square? Do I like it as a diamond? I mean, I'm kind of caught between both, because the diamond obviously then follows the flow of the diamond on the outside. But actually, if I use the square, it would then mirror the square that I've got as the stopper inside. So I think I might go square. And just trying to keep this as straight as possible. Just mounting that on that circle. Like so. Tanya said, hello my lovely, hope you're well. Please can you ask Carnation Crafts to start making some NAF collections, as they are all far too good and I want them all. That's really funny, Tanya. I mean, I could ask, but I don't think I just don't think it's possible. They all make really gorgeous designs, don't they? Humberto says, Mari just woke from her nap and is now intently watching you. Oh, that's so sweet. I think she has a crafting future. Humberto, that is adorable. Mari is Humberto's little foster kitten, and she is the cutest, absolutely most adorable little kitten. We were very pleased the other day because Humberto sent us little pictures, so we were cooing over the little tiny kitten, which was very, very sweet. Okay, so for this design, as we've mentioned, we put that card base together and it creates a really lovely design. So essentially, even if you didn't want to use the soaring dove or anything like that, you could absolutely use this as card. Wouldn't this be lovely with a little bit of glitter on the filigree layers and then just Merry Christmas? Perhaps the little Christmas mice from around the tree could go on there. Perhaps it's a golden wedding anniversary. So rather than using white on white, you could use your gold cardstocks. Perhaps it's a ruby wedding anniversary. Again, it's those sort of little things. Just take the inspiration from the tutorials we bring you. We have a completely open angel policy, so you're allowed to make and sell and copy the designs that we create on these Facebook tutorials as much as you like to make them your own. Take elements of it and work it into your own designs. For our eagle, we're going to go in, and he is going to be sitting at the base, kind of just swooping in with his wings outstretched. But what I wanted to introduce was also an element of floral, so a little spray of flower designs. And I've chosen the MIDI flowers for this because I felt they added the drama, they added the design, they added the intrigue. But if you notice the colours I've chosen, let me just bring a few in. You can start building them in a way that basically highlights the colours you may be using in your vignettes. So start from a central point, as you would do if you were arranging these as florals, and then the sides come in, and they have to go in a little bit more shallower than what you do on the tops here. Okay, so you're going in and adding detail. But you see how we've chosen the vignette colourway for the MIDI flower arrangements from the Especially For You collection, which there's the bright colours, and we've chosen the whites, the reds and the blues to mimic the whites, the reds and the blues in the wings of the eagle here. So it's all about layering that up. I'm just using that eagle for positioning. What I'm going to start doing is start introducing some layers to these florals, and just see how I want them to look before I commit to sticking anything down, I think is the idea. Don't ever be scared of layering your flowers when it comes to using things in real life, so flowers and things like that. You know, these things are going to be layered in a sense. These are going to be, when it comes to floristry and things like that, you are going to have things layered up. It gives a much more natural look. I mean, obviously you don't want to overload your cards and things like that, but actually it's nice having elements whereby there's intrigue, there's elements to discover, there's things to find within the flowers there as well. So keep your general shape to this kind of diamond design and keep layering up. Once you're happy, take a photo for reference, and then we can go in and start sticking. I have already sculpted most of these flowers, and to sculpt, what we do is we grab our brand new foam mat. I adore this. I think this is an absolute ingenious idea. So the foam mat that Carnation Crafts have developed for this not only is pink, which I think we can all agree is fantastic, but it fits the multimedia mat. So it's not going to be sliding around all over your desk when you're trying to add in detailing into your designs. It slots in and it holds in place on your silicone mat. We then have four ball tools of varying sizes, from absolutely wee little tiny ones like so to really nice large weight ones here that are going to be used to ball out and sculpt your designs. Now you can see myself and Carla using these all the time. We were so excited to get our Carnation branded ones, obviously in this lovely pink grip on the handles here, and it's just so nice. All you need to do is take your ball tool and round off your floral design like so. Start from the largest size that's appropriate for your design, and then work down in size order. That was me unclipping my little design there from the mat with my elbow. And also don't forget, you can turn these over and sculpt from the other way as well. So we're following the line on the vignettes that have been placed down, and we're adding in that detailing. It brings your vignette artwork to life by adding in this little bit of roundedness. It adds a three-dimensional quality to your designs. It gives them depth, it gives them texture, it gives them a very much more realistic look. And again, you can take areas and just add in detailing by using your ball tool and just balling these out. Even things like the leaves here, whereby you'd have the sprigs of the leaves, the veins of the leaves in a little bit more detailing. You can have this all curled down. You see how just by adjusting the little edges, going over the edges of the leaves here, it starts to curl and shape those designs. Just gorgeous. Absolutely something. If you haven't got already, they are available on our website. Do consider adding those to your collection. Now let's start sticking, shall we? So I'm going to grab my everyday glue, my Wednesday glue. This is my white glue, which is perfect for sticking things flat. It's a nice adhesive in that it doesn't have a high water content, so it's not going to buckle your cardstock. It's not going to ripple it. It also dries clear, which is handy if you're anything like me, because I tend to get things all over the place. And essentially what we're going to do is just start building. I'm going to grab my glue applicators as well. These are back in stock, guys. I know they've been out of stock for a little while, but they are back in stock. And even your leaves and things, add a little bit of shape and texture to those. So I'm going to take my glue applicator and add just a little bit of glue along just the stem. And then we're going to position that leaf like so. That's going to be our starting point. And from there, as mentioned, we're going to build this kind of design that's going to sit around our eagle. I'm not going to go mad and try and stick down every single point of the leaf. A, there's no point trying to do it because we've got the different layers in here going on anyway. But B, with these kind of cards, it's really nice to leave things loose in a sense, because you get this wonderful quality of movement from the tips of the flowers. Not over the top movement, I just mean a little bit of a shimmer when the card opens of things. Again, it gives a nice quality to the design. So again, white glue and just positioning like so. So that's going to sort of indicate where we're going to start coming down for this design. I think we're going with the iris next. So remember, we are working on this white, blue and red composition to match in with the stars and stripes on the eagle's outspread wings. Again, just another little area of design content, really, if you are looking for ways of colour matching, colour theory, that sort of thing. Look to your vignettes for inspiration. It was looking at this eagle vignette that I thought, actually, I could include flowers with this, which are then perfectly poised, if you like, to work in with the colours from the eagle vignette as well. All of these flowers that I'm using, including these little bobbly bits, if you like, and the leaves and things, are all from the especially for you, colourway for the MIDI flower arrangements too. I'm just going to check back. I haven't got any comments coming in or questions coming in. I don't want to miss any questions. I think another round of leaves would be great here. Just gluing like so. Whenever I'm creating these Facebook Lives, you probably have noticed I have a whole stash of vignettes out in front of me, ready cut, ready to go. That gives me a little bit more of, how would you call it? How would you describe it? A little bit more freedom, I suppose, is a great way to say. When it comes to deciding what I'm going to go with, I'm not just using what's in front of me. I can add things, I can take things away, I can layer things up. It just gives me greater control over the end product. I very rarely use all the die cuts in front of me, and that's not a bad thing. That means they go into the stash for the next project. But by having the choice, it means we can go in without having to worry, not having to stop and recut something, or, you know, change things up, for example. It just gives you greater scope when it comes to crafting. So that's something I'd always recommend. If you've got a rainy afternoon, you're stuck for something to do, just sit and cut quite a few of your favourite vignettes. And that's going to give you a little bit of inspiration. It also really helps your mojo as well. If you're looking for a little bit of inspiration, things like that, just by simply cutting, it starts lending itself to ways that you could be using and what else you could be doing with your designs. So you've got our three colours in there from our iris and our daisy and our poppy. I'm just going to make sure everything's still on track to sit within that burn. You see how we're having this idea that the flowers are emerging from the wings of the eagle here as well. It's just a nice way of designing with that. Let's just choose a couple more bibbly bits here. I don't know what these are called, but they're really lovely for adding in texture in the background. Linda says, I love the MIDI flowers. They're so useful for so many projects. I use them all the time. Yeah, absolutely, Linda. They are really my go-to flowers when it comes to carnation. I love the fact they're all together in the 2 sets. And again, it's just all there. The composition wise, everything's there from detailing, everything's there from texture, everything's there from colour, and the added fact that you have 3 different vignette colorways as well. So you can go in to the MIDI flowers. You've got MIDI flowers for, especially for you, which is colorway we're using. We've then got MIDI flowers for, let me think. MIDI flowers for Above the Clouds and MIDI flowers for Fairy Tale Day as well. So again, detailing adds in really, really lots and lovely things and gives you scope, as we've been saying, to craft with as well. Again, using my glue applicator and white glue there, everyday glue, just lifting and tucking, just looking at spaces that need filling, spaces that could do with detail, and just adding in. It may not be that you see each and every element at the end of this, but your recipient is going to look at your card, okay? They're going to look, they're going to come back to it, they're going to sort of come back a couple of times and really discover new things within your card design, which is so, so pretty. So again, I've just snipped down that little vine because, of course, you don't have to use the vignettes all as intended. You can snip, you can cut, you can add, you can take things away. It really is up to you. A couple of people saying it's baby's breath. Yeah, it does look like baby's breath, doesn't it? Gypsophilia, I'm not sure. Great for texture though. And then just keep checking. So it's a great way just to keep adding in your design. Just keep checking the balance and things like that. Here, I need some little bit more detail on this side. I'm thinking possibly red. Let's go with peony, just to fill that little space and just see how we're building it in this look. Again, just adding in a little bit of glue along the stem and then position so you're then filling up that little gap. And quite often, you know, this little section here where it might start to look a little bit messy, don't worry, your eagle is going to hide all of that as well. Tanya says, thank you, darling. Love my MIDI flowers, about to open the wreath maker to make a start on Christmas cards. Then I'll be watching Disney's Christmas Carol and maybe a cheeky mince pie with cream. Oh gosh, that sounds like an amazing afternoon, Tanya. I mean, what a way to get into the Christmas spirit, hey? Disney Christmas Carol, I think that's one of my favourites. You know, we haven't watched that with Rue yet. Rue's very much into the Jungle Book at the moment, so I'm not sure we can persuade him to watch anything else at this moment in time, but we might give it a go. We might see whether he fancies something Christmassy. It's always worth trying, isn't it? Bless him. He's very sweet though. My goodness me, Rue is my little baby, and he's gosh, how old is he now? 5 months. Time's going far too quickly, and yeah, we've had the joy of it being obviously his first Christmas, so we're getting things ready like the Christmas tree. But obviously having Morph the cat does mean we're having to get things ready in stages and slowly introduce things. So at the moment our front room does look a bit strange with a Christmas tree undecorated, just until Morph decides that he's not going to try and kill it and drag it up to his cat tower, that it will be safe and that it's okay. Because otherwise it's going to be a bit of a disaster this Christmas. He's shown a lot of interest in the tree, and we really can't dissuade him from trying to climb it. But hopefully he will get used to the tree. Does anyone else have pets like this, or is it just me with my crazy cats? Honestly, so funny. So again, just shaping these little flowers, just taking that central ball tool and just pushing that down and bringing the petals up for that design. These ones that are little closed heads, again, going in and using a ball tool just to detail on those. And again, same with the leaves, just adding in that extra detail. And you see how by using the ball tool in combination with the foam mat, it adds in this detailing, it adds in this beautiful curve. The leaves and everything just curves up perfectly. And then just filling that space. So again, just looking at our design, just seeing where we need a little bit more fill, if you like. I think white on that little area there. Most of that daisy is going to be covered, but you know what? It really doesn't matter it's just adding in like so. And again, keeping that so everything's coming down into this space. Now I do think it needs a little bit more leafies going on. Possibly if I cut into that, I can get a couple out of that. So let's go in. Remember, you know, with things like your leaves and what have you, cut into it, snip into it. None of the vignettes have to be used as full and as intended. They are yours. Snip into them and detail them up. Elaine says we have a Westie who used to cock his leg up the Christmas tree. Oh no. I mean, that is, I mean, how do you stop them though? Because that's just nature, I suppose. They see a tree and they think, do you know what? Good a place as any, isn't it, really? Goodness me, that is very funny. And a few more little leaves, I think, coming. Where do I want these leaves? Do I want them there? Yeah, I think I do actually. So again, lifting and tucking. It really is up to you, but you see how you're filling those spaces. We're taking a moment to look back over the card, just seeing where we need to add, just seeing where we need things to come together. I think a few more little vines. I think we're okay for flowers. I might have to add in some more blue, but we'll see. We'll see where this gets us to. Adding in our glue. I just want to hide where I've cut away the top of that stem. So I'm going to hide that with another vine over the top. And then just tweak those little flowers to hide the base where I've snipped that away as well. So that's coming together nicely. I think I'm happy with that. I might add in more afterwards, but for the moment, I'm quite happy with how that's looking. So at the moment, our eagle from the three-dimensional dove is in the clouds. Okay, so it's in its card base. What we can do is just come in with a nice fine pair of scissors, follow the cut lines that are already in place and remove it just from the base, like so. You may find it easier to snip the clouds just off to one side. That gives you a little bit of an easier access around, like so. So you can get really into the areas of the little eagle's wings there to snip that down. Like so. Annette says, when we had kittens, I brought a cheap tree because I knew they would try and destroy it. By the end of Christmas, it was just a twig. But boy, did they have fun. Oh, naughty kittens are just the funniest thing, aren't they? Bless them. Okay, so here we have our eagle design. Now, of course, we're going to ball this out. We're going to add lovely texture to those outspread wings. We're going to use our mat and we're going to use our ball tool. So we're just going to go down each one of those outstretched feathers and give them a curl using the ball tool, not over the top. I'm not pressing hard or anything like that. It's just so you get those tips, those outsplayed tips of the wings, giving that little bit of curve. Okay, same with the head and the body. Just going to curve that out as well. And same with the tail. Let's just go in. Again, I'm following the cut line details. I'm following the colour of the vignette here, following the artwork just to bring that through. And when we come to add this to our card, let's give it some general shaping as well. So outstretched wings coming up and flaring out at the end, just by holding and manipulating that cardstock like so. Tammy says he will love that film, hun. Maybe not the part with the ghost from Christmas Future. Oh yeah, I've forgotten about that bit. Jay was petrified of that fellow. Yeah, do you know what? It's actually true what you say. Some of the, you know, the children's films and things like that, they are terrifying when you think about it. It's quite scary, really, for little ones. Just shaping that all out, and then like so. So there, I'm really happy with how that's looking. I think that looks really, really pretty. Hopefully you guys agree. I mean, maybe it's something you're going to make for your card designs as well. For our eagle, we're going to stick him in place using Pinflair glue. For anyone that has not seen the Facebook Lives in a little while, Pinflair is now available on Carnation Crafts website as well, which is fantastic. So you can always add that to your baskets as you're checking out. but we're just using a little bit in those bits where we've shaped. Okay, now the key here is to try and get this central. I'm going to line his little tail up with the edge of the mats and layers, just like so. And then I'm going to press. I'm not going to press his wings down so I lose the shape. I'm just pressing so that pin flare holds. Now I can see areas already whereby it's going to be too heavy. It's going to fall forward on the front of the card. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of pin flare just on layers to give it that extra support on the tips of the wings, and also where those wings are stuck, so onto those flowers as well. By doing it that way, it gives you much more precise finish to where you want to place things as well. I think we might go in with a little bit more of our texture pieces here. So if you know, if we're going to be calling it baby's breath, just trimming a few down. So we've got a few little sprigs. Let's just round this off. Anywhere where we're cutting that's going to be seen, we want to make sure it's nice and rounded. Anywhere where it's just going to tuck, we can go straight as well. It doesn't matter too much, but it just gives us a few little tuck-in areas of detailing. Okay, so it's just added extras whereby it's detail, it's texture, it's design in the background to layer and break up what's already been placed down, just like so. I see another little area that could do with a little bit of filling. So again, white glue along the bottom, lifting and tucking, and then a little bit more just in this area here where we've got quite a lot of green going on. Just introduce a little bit more white to make the colours from the flowers really, really pop. So just gently place like so. I think that looks really nice. I think we could probably leave it there rather than overloading the card. Let's just check everything's still sitting perfectly. So the reason why we made sure his little tail was just positioned centrally is so when we come to open our card, just adjust him slightly, he's not getting caught on the design. Just making sure that's balanced. There we go. Once that's all dry, obviously you can have a little shifty about with the design just so that it all sits perfectly. And of course, if you wanted to, you do have the smaller florals from the design as well, which we could, you know what, let's do it. Let's go in with a couple on the inside of the card. So rather than having full stems like we've used on the front, we could use a couple of the sort of half flowers, just the flower heads, to add in a little bit of detailing to the background there. And I think, do you know what, let's do that because I think that's going to look quite pretty, and it makes sure the outside of the card matches the inside of the card. And because we've mounted this on foam, obviously we've got the perfect area to go in and pop those flowers just underneath like so. That looks pretty. Maybe we go in with a little bit of Gypsophilia as well, possibly. I want a bit more of a pokey bit. Hopefully someone knows what that means because I'm not too sure myself. I don't know what I'm trying to talk about here. A little bit of a pokey bit just to extend this flower here. And then maybe we go in with that little offcut of vine that we've used just a little bit like so on the bottom. So again, just little hints of the same as what we've used on the outside of the card. Nothing too over the top. We don't want to detract, but it just gives you that same little detailing on the inside like so. I think that's great. I think that's really pretty. Of course, perfect space if you want to for a sentiment, for example, or something like that. But really, I think we can call that a make. What do you guys think? Hopefully you'll like that. Let me just turn the camera around so you can see. I'll move that out of the way for now as well. And I will just lift this up. I will take photographs of this afterwards as well when it's all open properly, so you can copy the design should you wish to. But there you've got your special edition eagle vignette there. Love him to bits. I think his colour is gorgeous. And of course, a riot of colour in those flowers from the MIDI flower arrangement too. Don't forget, the whole base that we've used for our design is the square 2 frame to create this diamond shaped easel. That is available on our website today for deal of the day at 20% off if you did want to add that in to your collection. Just something a little bit different, and again, ready for your sentiments for any occasion. I'd love to see your creations. So if you do feel like designing something along these lines, or you've taken inspiration from this, do consider sharing it in our Facebook group, Carnation Crafters. And hopefully I will be back next week with another Facebook Live. I'm not sure of dates and things yet, so I'll have to take a look at what we're up to and what we can do when. If you do have any requests for Facebook Lives, you can always post them up in our group, Carnation Crafters, as well. Until next time, stay safe, take care, and I shall see you all soon. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Bye, guys.